Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the RDFL Footy Show. We're back for another week. It's August. You know what that means? Start of August. We look at this final here, and this says that there's finals being played in August this year as well, so we're not far away from the conclusion of the season. The bye rounds are over. We're on the home straight towards the end of the season now. It's a very exciting time to be alive in the Riddell District Football and Netball League. Sean Kelly's my name as I fight off a burst of the hiccups. Joining me as always, my co-host, the great man, Shaun and Yeendy. Welcome back, mate.
Thanks, mate. Glad to be here. And they say a man who's been hiccuping a lot has been telling a lot of lies. So
that probably fits me down to the T, to tell you the truth.
What's the story, mate?
Yeah, the finals venues, I suppose. Talking point number one. We saw them come out last week. We just missed them on the show.
Yes.
Of course, they came out last week. They're not quite on the website. Well, they weren't at the time of writing, but they will be, I dare say, down forth. On the screen at the moment, the senior finals, what you can see, the qualifying final, Saturday the 27th of August at the Sunbury Kangaroos. That'll be the 1v2 game. The elimination final, the 3v6 game will be at Wallen. Quite interesting, given that the Magpies could be involved in that one. And then elimination final 2 on the Sunday, the 4v5 game being played at the GGO, the Gilbert Gordon Oval, out at Woodend Heskett. Second week of the finals. Now, initially, this was going to be 2 Saturday games.
Yep.
We're going to have the standalone day on the Sunday for the Junior Grand Final, but that's not happening now. It looks as though it's going to revert back to a Saturday-Sunday, and if that's the case, it'll be the second semi-final played at Macedon on the Saturday. The first semi-final played at Riddell on the Sunday. That's what we've got on the screen, obviously. It's a bit different to what was sent out, but that's what we've been led to believe has transpired in the last week. And then the venues from there, we know pretty well. We could have guessed these ones and gotten about $1.01 at the tab for these happening. Saturday the 10th of September, Lansfield, the preliminary final, and then Sunday the 18th of September, the grand final being played at Romsey Park once again. That's about the layout, the mix of final venues that we probably expected.
Yeah, no surprises there, mate. I'm going to throw you under the bus here with a multi-million-dollar question. And I'm, as a curious, neutral footy fan, we hear this debate. Oh, come on, mate. I'm an umpire. We're very biased, aren't we? There's been discussion of home finals.
Yes.
Is that a problem or is that not a problem? I want to know why is it a problem?
I don't think it is.
Yeah.
I don't think
it comes up every year.
It comes up every year, and quite rightly so in some circumstances. But look, I don't think that'll be the case this year. You'd be a bit aggrieved if you were, say, Macedon that finished third, for instance, or Rupertswood that finished third, and you're playing Wallen at Wallen in a final where they play so much better than they do away. But really, it doesn't come into it that much, I don't think. You go, no matter where you are, it's a final. Just go out there and play the game.
Yeah, I don't think it has much advantage at all, really.
And really, look, if you're playing that game at Wallen, you're probably playing on the best surface out of the lot too.
You'd be hoping you finished in the 3rd or 6th position there. But I think it's something that does come up every year. I'm with you. I don't think it makes a difference at all. Finals are a completely different thing. Take away the ground advantage. Some teams might be able to play that ground better anyway.
Exactly.
And their home ground in particular. But anyway, that's an issue for another day, but interesting.
It is indeed. Junior finals venues up on the screen at the moment as well. The semi-final weekend on Sunday the 21st of August will be played at Macedon, Kilmore, Romsey and at Eric Boardman Reserve. The preliminary finals at Diggers Rest, Lansfield and Riddles Creek on Sunday the 28th, and then Sunday the 4th of September, the grand final. McPherson Park, the main oval, the Melton Bloods Oval, and down at Melton South at the Rec Reserve as well. So a couple of handy venues there for grand finals, of course. Unlike in previous years where the grand final has been played on 2 ovals at McPherson Park, that can't happen this year because obviously with the Centrals not on McPherson Park number 2, it's now rugby ground. We've got the wrong posts on there.
Can't see any teams wanting to change it up in the sport department.
Wouldn't have thought. Not at that stage of the year.
Oh, especially when there's a premiership on the line.
Correct.
Come on, bring it on.
No,
but, it's good. Everyone's getting very excited. There's a big buzz around what's happening with junior finals this year.
There is indeed. So finals venues done and dusted. Talking point number 2, a club that we just mentioned, Wallen. Mentioned that they play better at home than what they do away. That was shown on the weekend because they gave Macedon a real scare on the weekend, and for a lot of this game it looked like an upset was going to be on the cards until the Cats righted the ship at the end of the game and showed that they're still very much in line for a top 2 position.
Probably the game they needed to win as well, I think, in those circumstances to be chased. Apparently we were getting messages from over at Woodend that the breeze was quite significant in the on the ground itself, and for Macedon to be able to hold Wallen goalless in that final term says a lot about them as a club. So that's brilliant. We know Wallen were going to come, and they kicked 5 points to 1 point in the last quarter there. Yeah. So they had their opportunities going down by 7 points.
Talking point number 3, and we're going to put some positivity around the Rockbank Footy Club this week. Obviously, didn't get the win. We knew that, but a really positive day for Rockbank. Great, their best defensive performance for the year. Held the team under 100 points. Kicked a few goals themselves, and you can just see now, it's getting towards the end of the year, they're getting games into the kids. And the signs that they're going to turn the corner are there, I think. Obviously, what Gav Spall and his coaching staff are doing, you can see that it's starting to pay a few dividends for the Rams.
It certainly is. Their past couple of weeks have been exceptional, kicking reasonably good scores from their standard. And one of the impressive things as well is that they're sharing the goals around. They haven't got that designated full forward that's going to go and kick 3 or 4 goals. So they're creating more avenues to goal. And that's one of the strengths we see at Rupert's Wood. The Rupert's Wood seem to share their goal work around, so they'll workload around the goal front. Rockbank are going down that path as well. If that could be something positive for them moving forward, that's great for them.
Yeah, it could be indeed. Well done to the Rams and the Sunbury Kangaroos, though, with the win, keeping their finals hopes alive. As we mentioned on the show last week when we went through the run home, and we'll go through that again today because there's some big games in round 15 this weekend that will potentially shape the top 6 and potentially shape the ladder for the rest of the season. The round starts at Diggers Rest this week, out at Bloomdale Oval with Diggers Rest take on Woodend Heskett, and you'd think that the Burrows would start as favourites in this one.
Burrows definitely red-hot favourites, but the Hawks' form over the past 2 weeks has been incredibly impressive. They have got 9 out of their best 22 out, and significant outs as well, as we've spoken about over the course of the year. But their effort against the Bombers on the weekend, quite impressive. They've changed things up a little bit over the past few weeks. They've thrown Ethan Gove and Jesse Waters forward alongside Dan Martin, just to create a few more forward options there. And I mean, we're looking at positives from a team that we know that won't come away with the 4 points, but at least it's something encouraging.
Yeah.
And but the Burrows, they've had the week off. They're ready to go, and they'll be starting their finals preparation now and towards the run home.
We mentioned Jason Williams from Diggers Rest, of course, on the recruit last week. And of course, the week that we mention it is the week that he bows out of the competition as well. For those, I suppose, spoiler alert for those that haven't seen it. Jason Williams, of course, bowing out of the competition last week due to an injury. So it was a bit of a shock to see him go. Obviously, he's performing very, very well, but obviously that injury's healed because he's been doing some good things at local level in recent weeks at the Burrows.
And really good for us as footy fans because we know how good he is. We know Nick Moldhouse over that particular show was talking about he has got enormous potential, the ability to make the next step, but we get to see that in front of our very eyes as we are heading towards the finals against a team that is undefeated and will continue to be undefeated after this round.
They will indeed. Next game for the round, out at Romsey Park. Romsey taking on the Melton Centrals. I reckon both teams are going to this game thinking they're a big chance to win it. Central's probably their best chance to get one before the end of the season and kind of get on a little bit of a roll because they play Rockbank next week as well. So real chance to build some momentum going into this one for Centrals. However, Romsey at Romsey, always a difficult task.
Always a difficult task. The last time these two teams met, Romsey actually won that game after, I think it was, they were 3 goals down, 6 goals to 3 at quarter time. Romsey ended up winning that game and ended up building some really good mid-season form. So they're heading in a little bit of a lull at the moment, but the key thing is for them to get a big performance up. The Central's last game, they were quite solid. Look out for Jonathan Ferry across half-back. Good young gun coming through, and looking forward to seeing him mature as a footballer as the season finishes. Speaking
of Central's young guns, we almost pulled onto the show this week. Junior 1-1 working, of course, just out in the offices behind us at the moment, but reckons that we've cost him enough in fines this year with articles and photos on the front of Footy Records and appearances on multicultural round videos and everything like that. So he said, Kane Bullen basically owns my paycheck at the moment. I don't know to give him any more of it. So Junior respectfully declined our offer, I suppose is the way to put it.
Maybe we can get him squeeze one more fine out of him.
Maybe we might find that towards the end of the year. You're tipping this game though, Yeendy?
I've got to go to Redbacks at home.
Yeah, Redbacks for me as well. Riddell taking on Rockbank this week at the Riddles Creek Recreation Reserve. You saw Riddell firsthand on the weekend up against Woodend Heskett. How did they look?
They looked solid. I think with a grand
that was as unconvincing as I've ever heard you say anything.
Look, they played some reasonably good football.
That's unconvincing too.
Third time a charm. They're going to be boosted this week by a huge return.
That's better.
I'm looking forward to it. I did get to see the great man post game. He come off.
Which great man? There's several of those that you like up the Riddle.
Well, one of them who was won a little bit of individual success in this competition He has mentioned that he may be making a comeback. He jumped off a plane from Europe on Saturday last week.
Interesting.
Tan as all buggery, but still got out there in the snow, well, almost like the snow-like atmosphere at the weekend. Instead of running around in Croatia, he's running around at the GGO with Paul Selberg. So he tells me he's pretty keen to get out there, back out there and have a bit of a run. So he's had a nice break.
Interesting. The reigning Bowen medalist.
Oh, he's had a good time as well. You wouldn't be able to recognise him. Everyone's walking around pale and he's as brown as ever. So, but a very good addition to him that will happen in the team. But Riddell, they played well last week, but I'm probably looking at Woodend Heskett played an impressive game as well. So, but look out for my man Benny said. I'm getting behind him now. He is. You've
got a lot of men on that.
Oh no,
you're getting behind those Bombers because your other Bombers are putrid.
Oh, we are shocking. At least we get a wooden spoon this year. At least we're coming out with something. But Benny said improved in forward line last week and went in the midfield a little bit. And look out, he's on the verge of exploding.
Rockbank, obviously, as we mentioned, some positive signs. They've been taking some steps forward. How will they take it up against the top 6 team this week, though?
Well, I think they'll take a lot of confidence on the back of last week's effort against Sunbury Kangaroos.
But we're both tipping Riddell.
Riddell all the way. 3
very interesting games to finish off the round that could be top 6 shapes. In fact, will be top 6 shapers. Starting out at the Harley Hammond Reserve, Broadford taking on Rupert's Wood. This will show us exactly where both of these teams are at going into the finals, because this potentially could be the elimination final being played at Wallen as well. Obviously, both of these teams fighting very hard to try and get in that 3rd spot, but so are Diggers Rest. Diggers Rest are going to finish on top. What am I talking about? So are Macedon, so are Riddell as well. So it's a bit of a logjam there. These 2 teams will want to get the break and try and get in that 3rd spot. So it'll be a case of ask no quarter, give no quarter, I think, at the Harley Hammond Reserve this weekend.
Well, I'd probably say get behind the home side. And we've said it's becoming so. We will get fined the amount of times we've said this, but until otherwise, there is no reason why we can't back the Roos, because I think they're looking at, is it 10 in a row, 9 or 10 in a row?
It'll be about that, I think.
So, and Rupert's would have been in really good form as well, as I spoke about before. Their ability to share the workload around on the goal front. I love it looking at their goal scorers, and they've got they might have 20 goals on the board and 13 players have had their hand in. That seems to be pretty consistent.
And that can be a real key for them coming into these finals as well, where in the last few years you've been able to lock down on a Lee Brennan or a Dan Jordan or someone like that in the finals, and you'd be able to do that and keep Rupert's Wood fairly quiet for the day. Not so the case anymore. So it's a really good sign for them going into where they're looking to basically win their first senior final in their RDFL time.
Absolutely, but you look down the other end as well, and Broadford have been able to show their value as well. So Adrian Rumenick has been leading their goals every week for quite some time. But then you know Rex Hickman's capable of going forward. Cam Dawson when he's in the team, they've got plenty of players in themselves. So it's almost a like for a like. Which Pachone, he is pumped. He's ready to go. So look, this could go either way. They're going to be matched up very, very evenly.
Yeah, they will indeed. Your tip?
Oh, home side here.
Yeah, Broadford. Yeah, I can't as well. I suppose, as you mentioned, 9 in a row. Hard to tip against them, although Rupert's Wood will give them absolutely everything. Macedon taking on the Sunbury Kangaroos. Huge game for the Roos. Need to be able to fire a shot in this one. Easier said than done, though, against a pretty good Cat side. Considering the state of the ground, how heavy it is underfoot, the Sunbury Kangaroos, the door will be left ajar for them here. But then saying that, the last time Macedon played on their home deck, they kicked 17 goals without a miss. So they ended up kicking 28 goals, 7 against a team that, while not as competitive as Kangaroos, it's still they were able to do it on that sort of surface. And they pulled out all stops to win last week. And tip my hat off to Dan Markworth as well. Kicked 2 goals on the weekend and played a pretty good performance. But they ended up getting 3 valuable wins. Waters, Markworth, and there's another one in there as well that is a key to their team. So it's sort of hard to sort of back against at this stage. It's just getting better. It is. You mentioned the ground as well. Last game being played on Tony Clark Reserve until that semi-final weekend as well. So it'll get a full month basically to recover after this. Absolutely. It's going to be fantastic for second semi-final footy, and this will be a cracking game on Highlands FM. Looking forward to getting out there and looking forward to seeing the Roos really make an impact and maybe just pull off an upset. Do you think they can? Because they need it. Their season basically, you look at their last 2 rounds, they got Romsey at home. They got Romsey at home, which if they can win this week, they'll really take some confidence into that. But then Diggers Rest last game at Diggers Rest, and that's going to be tough for them. So they really need to win this one if they want to play finals footy. Well, to say that they'll be competitive, I think we'll just have to. It's a switch of 2 numbers. If they, instead of kicking 12 goals, 24 last week, if they had 24-12, then all of a sudden their forwards up and about. Ryan Pretty ended up kicking 4 goals. Jamie Cuff kicked 3 goals, but you turn that around and maybe he's kicked
Ryan's kicked 8 and James kicked 5 and whatnot, then all of a sudden their forwards are going with a lot more confidence. So they need everything to go their way.
Last match for the round, and potentially, as you mentioned last week, Yeendy, the one that could end up shaping 6th spot. Results fell your way the way that you wanted to, although you're a bit worried for a while there when Wallen were flying on the weekend. But in the end, the synopsis you put to us last week is still in play as Lansfield take on Wallen this weekend. If what you said last week is to be believed, this is a very, very early elimination final, and the winner of this game, all things being equal, will probably finish in 6th spot.
Absolutely, and I say this in it's no disrespect to Wallen as well. I mean, as a footy fan, as you and I both are, we would love nothing more than to see it come down to round 17.
I just want to see Wallen in the finals.
Well, this is the
I don't
opportunity.
care where they're playing. I just want to see them in the finals.
And they've got the opportunity to excel too.
Yeah.
But for me as a footy fan, I want to see it come down to round 17 and come down to 2 games deciding who's going to sneak into the top 6. I want to see the heart-stopping thing. It takes me back to when Wood and Heskett beat Kilmore going back maybe 4 or 5 years ago on one of the last kicks of the day.
That day, you'll be out at Woodend Heskett versus Maston in round 17. You won't care what's going on the ground in the last quarter. You'll be more attuned to what's happening out at Lansfield and Romsey and what's happening between Wallen and Rockbank, following the live scores religiously, and you'll bust a foofer valve if it's close. I know that.
Oh, absolutely. I'm hanging for that. That's my dream result. And again, take nothing away from the Pies because they are an outstanding club. And love seeing Sam Rexepi in form. He kicked 2 goals on the weekend and did really well. And one kid I'm really, really excited to see grow, Damien Corp, a good young kid. We interviewed him a few years ago on Highlands FM, and he's just one young kid who's got a lot of pace, and good to see him playing centre footy. Your
tip for this game, first tip with the heart, and then tip with the head.
I'm going to have to go Wallen on both accounts on this. We, again, have no reason to say otherwise, but Lansfield on a heavy deck would play okay at home.
A Wallen win basically puts this argument to bed, doesn't
exactly.
it?
So we'll
we'll
have to think of something else to talk about next week.
We will indeed, because I think Wallen's going to win this game as well. If they can take what they showed last week against Macedon, transfer it to this week, I don't think they'll have too many problems with Lansfield. But that being said, Lansfield, with their season on the line and with John Kent and Miles Dorman in goal-kicking form this year, a huge chance to get the upset.
Yeah, exactly.
The upset.
The upset, yeah. And look, we've only got was it 3 weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks. Lansfield could either win the next 3 games or they could lose the next 3 games.
Yeah,
That's the tightness of it all in that bottom half of the ladder.
It will be very interesting to see how this weekend pans out and exactly what we're talking about on the RDFL Footy Show next week. We could be talking about that finals race locked in and just jockeying for spots. We could be talking about it being blown wide open. This weekend will tell us. Very much looking forward to seeing how it all pans out. Yeendy, thanks for joining us this week once again, mate. It's an absolute pleasure having you here.
Pleasure's mine.
And it's a pleasure having you with us once again as well on the RDFL Footy Show. Until next week, enjoy your footy.